Hey everyone, Scott here to discuss Underworld Awakening, starring Kate Beckinsale, Stephen Rea, Michael Ealy, Theo James, India Isley, and Charles Dance, and directed by, let me see if I'm saying this right, Marland and Stein. Now, I remember going to IMAX theaters for this thing, in 3D, I'll say, and I remember the noises in the movie were very good in the movie, in my opinion, anyways. Let's see how it holds up today. Let's get into it. Celine, returned by Kate Beckinsale, recaps the first three movies, and we move on to Dr. Jacob Lane, played by Stephen Rea from V for Vendetta, making everyone vampires and lichens, or as they annihilate them, and Celine, as far as they know. And Celine fights for her life, and Michael is nowhere to be found unless if you blink and you miss him at the beginning of the movie. Probably for the best. We'll see if these movies improve despite I didn't like the rise of the lichens. They purge almost all the vampires and lichens, and Celine and Michael are frozen as Michael is unfrozen for I'm not sure what reason, but unfreezes Celine to be free. But both Michael and Celine have been separated as they escape their own ways, and this is an opening is something I can't make sense of, but I do like how Celine escapes, and I'm with the movie at this point, and to be quite honest. Celine disguises herself and goes to the pier where she last saw Michael 12 years ago. Yes, this movie's taken 12 years after that purge, and gets a sense of where Michael is. We meet a Detective Sebastian, played by Michael Ealy, investigating the murder Michael did, and we also see David, played by Theo James from the Divergent series, witnessing Detective Sebastian at the crime scene as Sebastian moves on to Dr. Lane's office, and he finds Dr. Lane is full of shit, and Celine goes in a parking garage, leading to a sewer where she's encountered by David, and she sees a vision of a little girl named Eve, played by India Isley. And they live in a van, and three lichens. They leave in a van, and three lichens go after them to get Eve. And the lichens look very bad in this movie as they kill the three lichens. Celine releases Eve as half vampire, half lichen, which makes me think it's Celine and Michael's daughter, which explains who let Celine out earlier. It was what's her name, Eve, in the film, and I did like that exposition, as it was told watching this movie. David takes Celine and Eve to the vampire hideout, and we get introduced to Thomas, played by Charles Dance, who I reviewed before in Johnny English Strikes Again, and we'll review him again in the next Underworld movie, as well as Godzilla King of the Monsters and the 2016 Ghostbusters film. As he's very dismissive to Celine and Eve from the minute David walks in with them, and Eve heals quickly from feeding, and I like the character of Eve. What I don't like is she's the MacGuffin of the movie, if that makes sense. It reminds me of Elektra, where it's like, I'm the treasure. No, I'm the treasure. And it's an obnoxious way to make a MacGuffin in these kinds of action movies. The fight between Thomas and David is ridiculous because Thomas wants people to hide, and David wants to fight the lichens that want Eve back alive and kill the fighters, led by David as Celine gets Eve out of here and fights the lichens, and Eve gets kidnapped by Thomas cowardly. Or actually, Thomas trades her to the lichens, cowardly act, and David waiting to fight as Celine fights a giant lichen as it heals and knocks her down, and Eve is captured by the lichens as a gift from Thomas, who is a fucking coward while David is bleeding, and the action in this movie is fun, and Celine awakens David with a heart tap, and I went along with it at best. It's B-movie entertainment. Celine confronts Sebastian with how he knows the lichens are still alive and hiding, as he's also tells her something about Dr. Lane being involved as he's a lichen himself. And I did like that twist because Stephen Rea delivers a good villainous performance. Sebastian takes Celine to her daughter back to get her daughter back from Dr. Lane's office, as she can survive the sunlight thanks to the founding father named Alexander Corvinus from the second film. So that's the guy that the one with the white hair and got stabbed and killed by Marcus. But let's move on. She rampages the office and finds Eve in the service elevator as she fights the three Lycans into another room, and Sebastian goes to the parking garage to stop Lane, or Dr. Lane, while Celine finds Michael frozen, but it puts a bullet in the freezing system and continues to go to the parking garage as Dr. Lane's son turns into the biggest fucking Lycan I've ever seen in the previous movies. As Celine stops the van from getting out of the parking garage, and Dr. Lane's son catches up to Celine, fighting Dr. Lane's son while Eve fights off Dr. Lane, and David comes in and shoots up the Lycans, and Eve slits Dr. Lane's neck open, and Celine is stuck in a room full of stairs, and Dr. Lane's son is back to human form, and Celine puts a grenade in Dr. Lane's son's chest while he heals, and Michael is on the roof. And as a climax, honestly, I had fun with it. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 5.3 out of 10. This is an improvement of the first three movies, and I was along for the ride this time as it was fun. I did like Celine and some of the characters better this time than in the first three films, and it is confusing at times, but I like that it clarifies it later on. And yeah, come into this as a B movie as I did. I think that's what I'm going to do in the next one. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me, and next time I will be back with Underworld Blood Wars. And until next time, it's time to shoot some Lycans.